Hello and welcome to Module 3, Section U of the Better with Less course, today addressing other people's clutter. I must admit, in my work with Abundantly Minimal, questions related to other people's clutter are some of the most common that I receive, and I know it's a big challenge for many families. So in today's lesson, I'll be walking you through specific strategies that you can use to help you work through different types of clutter, strategies to communicate effectively with these family members or others in your life about decluttering and simplifying, and your own personal preferences. And I'll also be giving you some specific actionable strategies you can put in place in your home to help resolve these issues. Let's jump in. All right, let's jump into other people's clutter. Before we begin, we must address that this starts with you. Before you ask others to make a substantial change in their space or to start decluttering, ideally you have already started that path or that journey. Doesn't mean you have to be completely done, but they need to see it in action in your life, and going through that process is going to make them much more likely to join you. So before asking others to simplify, make sure you have worked through the process yourself, at least somewhat. Ideally, you can make improvements to common spaces in your home that also will benefit others. If you put in the work not just in your own private spaces, such as your wardrobe, but also public spaces, such as a bathroom in the house or your kitchen, the living room, a common space like that, your family members can start to feel the benefits of it without having to do any of the work. And so when you later on ask them to join you or invite them to join you in the decluttering process, they can attest to the benefits that they've seen, and they're much more likely to be on board. You could also invite others to help you go through your own items. This is a way that can help them engage in the process of decluttering and help you out, of course, but it takes the pressure off of them feeling like their items are the ones that have to go, and it takes the responsibility off of them. They can help and support you and work through the process without feeling like they're being attacked or that their attachment to items is being attacked. This is also a great strategy because often taking action brings about more motivation. So if they actively help you declutter a certain area, I would recommend choosing a more moderate or smaller project. They may want to continue that or be more likely to continue that with a different type of clutter. It's also so important to reflect about what you can and cannot control. You can control yourself and your own thoughts and actions, but you cannot control these other individuals. That is up to them. They have to make the choice. You can provide support, you can provide tools, you can share ideas, share your time, but you cannot make someone do this if they're not ready to go on that path. And that is okay. I know that can be frustrating. Hopefully some of these other tips in this lesson are going to help, but it's so important that we do not lose sight of this. Priority number 1 here is effective communication. And this technically applies whether you're simplifying your home or really anything else in life. If we know how to communicate well, we can invite someone into, the conversation. We can speak our truth, but we can do this in a non-judgmental way where the other person feels supported and like their ideas and their voice matters. Sharing your why is critical because it can provide context for others in your life about why you are decluttering yourself and why you want them to join you on this journey. Let's say your partner or spouse is not on board with decluttering and it's frustrating to you. If you just tell them, you need to declutter this is frustrating, that's not really giving the full picture of it. It's more accusatory, and therefore your partner or spouse is more likely to be defensive and give you a hard no. However, if you approach the situation differently and say, partner or spouse's name, I have been feeling a lot of anxiety about this part of our home. When I walk into this room, I feel kind of sick inside, or like I can't focus. I feel like my life is out of control. Do you think you could help me and we could work through some of this together so I don't feel like that anymore? That is an example of a very powerful why. When it's framed like that, If that partner or spouse is a loving partner or spouse, they're going to want to help you because they don't want you to be suffering. And there's a lot of different whys that this could be. The why could also be financial. Maybe you're saying, look, I want to have financial freedom in the future. I want to pay down this debt and be debt free. I want to be able to take our family on a vacation or buy XYZ that we've always talked about but never been able to do it. Would you be willing to work with me to try to sell some of this old stuff that we have, or help reduce the spending we're doing and bringing new items into our lives? Again, it's a completely different why, but when we add that context, the person in our life who is holding back is much more likely to let go. As we're going through this, it's so important that we do not blame the other person for their actions and that we do not use judgmental language. Many of the reasons people hold on to different items that they don't need anymore comes from different emotional challenges, mental challenges that hold us back, and fear that holds us back. So it's very likely there is pain involved here. So we want to be very empathetic. It's also important for us to be patient as well as ready to help when asked. Everyone is on their own path and going at their own pace in life in general. And in terms of simplifying or living more mindfully, it clicks for us all at different times where we just realize and have clarity about what we want to do with our stuff moving forward. And so we need to be patient. We can focus on the baby steps that lead up to that point or that realization, but we have to understand that it could take a month. It could take 6 months. It could take a year or even multiple years before that person is ready to truly begin the minimalism journey. And we just have to be willing to be patient until that point happens, but also ready to help when asked. We can put the offer out there to help. We can plant the seed. And whenever that seed does come to fruition, we can be ready to be there and supportive, and also celebrating any sort of progress that is being made. Celebrate any wins or any progress that this particular person makes when trying to simplify. Even if they just get rid of one thing that was maybe something that you thought was obvious for them to let go of, get really excited. Give praise to them. Celebrate them for taking that action. When someone feels like their actions are being celebrated, they are much more likely to continue doing that, and they feel a sense of trust and value in that particular interaction. I know so far we've talked about both emotional and psychological challenges that come up with this, but let's take a look at some success strategies that you can actually put into effect no matter what your situation is. One helpful practice is to, within your space, designate both clutter-free common spaces as well as individual clutter zones. This might seem simple, but it can be helpful to set up some different rules for the space that all family members can abide by. For instance, maybe you decide that you want the kitchen table, the living room or family room, and general hallway areas to all be clutter-free. No clutter is allowed to be there. If clutter is left there, maybe it becomes yours and you can do what you want with it. So they know, okay, I have to make sure I take my stuff off the kitchen table or wherever else these items are. Then each person can have a designated clutter zone where they must keep all of their items that belong to them. This framework is helpful because it's not requiring these family members to get rid of their items. However, you can put them in a space. These clutter zones can be in a space that's out of the way for you, so you don't have to be negatively affected by it as much. And oftentimes, if clutter is more so contained in a smaller area, that's a higher traffic area for this person, many individuals will start to feel a little bit more of a burden for it. It's one thing to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to get rid of any of my stuff when they have piles of stuff all over the house. But when you consolidate them together in that one space, then they might start to think, well, I don't want to deal with all this right here. Now that I'm aware of the volume of this and it's encroaching on my space, I'm not happy about it. And that can inspire action. You can also look for purpose-driven decluttering opportunities as a motivator for the family. These purpose-driven opportunities could include things like a local clothing drive, some sort of collection of some type of item in your area. You see, when we are decluttering on a regular basis, we might just be taking our items to a local donation center. And we know it helps, but there's less of a direct correlation of, I know they 100% need this, and I'm able to fulfill that need. However, when there are certain drives and events that are collecting very specific items that you happen to have extra of, that is a purpose-driven opportunity, because let's say there's a coat drive happening at a local school or house of worship. If you've got extra coats in your house, it's easier to say, you know what? This particular organization has people who need coats right now, so let's donate these extra coats so we can help those people. It's direct, it's clear, it's short term, and these are great ways for family members to be on board and to know that their items can be helpful for this clear purpose. You can also consider using fun challenges or games to motivate other family members. There are a variety of different games out there. In your homework pages for this week, I have also included a bingo grid and a blank bingo grid template if you wanted to play decluttering bingo with your family members. This was very popular when I hosted this opportunity for Abundantly Minimal viewers and wanted to share this as well. Having some sort of a competitive element is a lot of fun, and if you get some good prizes involved with the family, that can even motivate further decluttering and help people practice this more on their own terms, especially with the competition or prize on the line. And from a prevention mindset, look for alternatives to reduce the new items that are coming into your home, whether that has to do with gifts or your regular shopping behaviors. While we already have what we have in our space, if we can be extra mindful of what's coming into the space going forward, we can prevent future clutter from building up. Look into gifting alternatives, maybe gift experiences or consumables instead when possible. Be more mindful of the volume of goods being purchased. Take a look at your transaction history for your spending to see where areas of weakness might be that you can adjust. Be more mindful of that and kind of watch what is coming into the space and reflect if it's necessary. Obviously, this can also help save money too. Let's break down some specifics if you're dealing with clutter from parents or relatives. A first important step is to plant the seed. If you're thinking about the future of helping your parents simplify and downsize, they might have some strong feelings about that. So gradually plant the seed over time so they can start to have it on their radar without it feeling so unexpected or like a big change for them right away. It's also very important that they feel empowered to lead their own decluttering journey. Of course, they might need a lot of support along the way, but allow them to decide where they want to begin, or to kind of set the stage, set ground rules for themselves of what they want to do. Don't be pushy, just focus on hearing them out, making sure they feel valued and listened to and respected through this process, and go step by step. It's really important to help these relatives identify keepsakes and other valuable items to them, and actually discuss these things with other family members as well, to make sure everyone has a clear understanding of what is most important. One of the saddest things that I see a lot in my work is that in cases where there's just way too many items, after someone's gone, there might be a haphazard estate sale, but then often big dumpsters are rented out and so much is thrown away just because the amount of clutter was overwhelming and no one actually had the time or the ability to go through it all and to pull out those most important things. When we streamline, when we declutter, we're prioritizing. We're keeping what matters most, and we're able to let go of the items that don't matter. So then in this same situation, if there's much less, everything can be much more intentional and valued, and the items that were keepsakes and the most important can be prioritized and kept and whatever else is left can be dealt with accordingly. While this now versus later approach is not necessarily something that people want to think about, it is important and it is a reality. It's a choice that everyone has to make. Is it better to go through these things now or wait till later? What would be the situation then? Clutter from Kids has a few different strategies here. Ideally, we can teach the process of decluttering and going through one's items. Of course, never just to declutter. We always want to have intention behind it, but it can be very meaningful to periodically say, okay, these particular toys are more so for younger kids. Maybe we can donate these to other kids. Maybe these old school papers or art projects, maybe these were important a few years ago, but at this point, you've moved on. Maybe we can keep a few handful of art pieces, let's say, and maybe we can recycle some of the extra ones. Children are always picking up on so many different behaviors that their parents or others in their lives are modeling, and so we can model the decluttering process in a really healthy way for our kids, so they just assume that's normal and develop that skill. It's also important to build routines, such as putting items away after we are done using that, or having some sort of cleanup time on a regular basis. The one in, one out approach can also be very effective if a new piece of clothing is purchased, or if a new toy is purchased, or a new video game, whatever it is, decluttering one of the old ones. That helps us keep the cycle going and can also give kids the tools to be able to prioritize what matters most and say, okay, I'm excited about this new thing coming in, but this is the one that I would care least about, so we can kind of exchange those. And then it prevents any type of clutter or children's belonging from getting out of hand. Lastly, this fits into the game piece that we talked about before. Incentives work great for kids. So if you've got a goal that you have in mind for them, offer an incentive to get that accomplished. Of course, we don't want this to turn into bribery, but incentives can work great to motivate behavior. It doesn't have to be new stuff. It can be something consumable or a fun experience for you and your child or the family, but this can be a great way to motivate action. We've definitely talked about a lot in this lesson. The homework sheet gives you some reflection questions to help you navigate your situation that you're dealing with clutter from other people. And like I said, page 2 and 3 of that have the bingo grid that you can also use for a fun competition. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next module.